Good morning, good morning. It's Kristy. If you've found me, I know you're ready to activate your highest potential timeline. You're going to transform your life, lead your life from heart and soul, and master your energy. Welcome to the transformative world of the MeMap podcast, lighting your path to deep discovery, lasting lifestyle transformation, and soul aligned success. Together, we're going to navigate the landscape of human potential, unlocking the wisdom of your inner world and manifesting it in your personal life and professional practice. Good morning. Hi, everybody. I had some technical glitches. It's been a while, you see, since I was on YouTube doing a live. Um, I apologize. Look, I'm trying to fix my light right now. I apologize because my daughter ended up really, really sick and in hospital for weeks. And I needed to put everything aside to be with her beside her bedside. And then it's taken a long time for her to come back to baseline. She's still recovering slowly, but going well. She had sepsis, and for anyone who suspects that they're feeling more sick than normal, please go to the emergency room. If I hadn't been a former nurse, I think things would have been really terrible. She was in a life-threatening situation, so it was a bit much. So anyhow, let's get back to you. Let's get back to the live stream. I am your host. For those of you who are new, my name is Kristy Lee Rackham. I'm the visionary creator of the Me Map. I'm a best-selling author and publisher, spiritual teacher, lifestyle transformation guide, and I'm here to help you navigate the landscape of human potential, unlocking the wisdom of your inner world and manifesting it in your life and professional practice. This is your sacred space today for radical self-discovery and spiritual evolution. And over 12 months, we're actually rewriting your life using the Me Map and these podcasts as the path to your divine essence and your highest possible timeline. The Me Map is more than just a tool. It is a framework. It's an ecosystem. It's a whole being shift that is your navigation tool to your best life, your I am presence. Today, we're exploring the mind and manifestation petal, which I love. This one is rich. This one is full. Before I came on, I'm like, what am I going to say? There's so much. There's so much. I have to keep reminding myself these podcasts are just an hour and I'll give you the top view. But honestly, the best way to explore mind and manifestation is to come and have some coaching sessions with me. Or if you are already a holistic practitioner, a coach, a nurse, a massage therapist who wants to move into coaching, holistic coaching, mind, body, soul coaching, rather than just the linear, nail the goals, achieve, achieve, achieve. If you want to be somebody who can guide others on a whole person transformation, then you might like to join me for the MeMap Coach certification. It is a fantastic program. I've just started the next round with our beautiful students who are health practitioners and healers from all walks of life. Some of them are not even in the health professional yet, and they're wanting to transition out of their day jobs and into something more full, more satisfying for their own soul that's going to help people transform. So if you're curious, down below, I think in the description, you'll see MeMap information and you can go to the PDF of the MeMap Coach certification and look at what that involves and join me. It's a hybrid course, so it's part self-paced training and part live coaching from me in a group setting. So it's really cool. All online. Obviously, I am in Australia, so we'll be in Australian Standard Time for Queensland. But I usually start those at 10:30 in the morning. So I think in Texas, that's like 8:30 p.m. New York, slightly different, but I tried to make the times manageable for anybody around the globe. Okay, so if you haven't already, subscribe, turn on the bell notifications. I feel so official doing all the YouTubey things. And that will help you join our global community of change makers and visionaries and get notified of these sessions as they happen. All right, so in the house, I've got heart warriors. I have people joining me. They are my Heart Warrior members, and they come and have sessions with me in addition to this podcast. Some of them are also in my group training containers or having private mentoring sessions. But as a Heart Warrior, I do a lot of spiritual development sessions and coaching. That's an additional session, 90 minutes once a month. So if you're interested in the membership, by all means, jump in. I think there's info on that below as well. Okay. I always have so much to say. I get on a bit of a roll and then I can't stop talking. Now, those of you in the room, I would really love a thumbs up that you can hear me clearly. Yes, thank you, Miss Leah. Appreciate that. And before we even get going, because I'm a little bit hyperactive this morning, I'm going to focus my mind, and then we're going to get into the mindset and manifestation petal. We're going to be talking all things mind and manifestation. So I have this lovely stick, Sao Paulo, sacred wood. I use this before I start any kind of a session. It just helps me ground and cleanse, clear my energy system of any low frequency vibrations, energetics that are not serving me, that I might have picked up in the field, that I might be reflecting in my own psyche, parts of me that are still in shadow in my mind. So I use this to help me ground and focus. So I'm going to say a little invocation, which I haven't done before with you guys. If you're watching live, join in. Set your intention, put your hand on your heart, take a really deep breath in. And as you breathe in, I want you to imagine that at the very base of your toes, you are pulling any low frequency energies, entities, and influences, pulling them up from your toes as you breathe in. Draw that up your body to your heart center. And then on the outward breath, you're going to blow it out from your heart out into the ether, returning it to God force energy, divinity, goddess, force, whatever you want to call it, the universe. So breathe in, draw it up. And as you're breathing out, you're just releasing all those energies, entities, and influences that you don't want, don't need, that aren't serving you. I like to do it 3 times. And the smoke lets it drift away. Hey, any energies, entities, and influences lower than love, you are now dismissed from our space here and now. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And so it is. All right, let's get into it. So I guess the first thing that I want to remind you of is what the me map actually looks like. So some of you might have just found me for the first time. So let's look at this. I'll just share my screen for a second. I've just brought up the me map coach header, but don't worry about that side of things. Just look at the map here. So this is the map. And whilst it is a 2-dimensional drawing, it is a multi-dimensional holographic entity in its own right. It is full, it is luscious, it is fractal in nature. It is based on the seed of life, the flower of life, which is the building blocks of all creation. So when we use the me map and we identify where we are in each of the petals, when we do a me map session, I take people through these, and my me map coaches take people through discovery sessions that help them identify where your ego is running amok and highlight where your soul is coming up for you to be led into a better way of life, a higher dimensional space. And as you grow and evolve and shift, the map turns, the map grows, evolves, and shifts alongside you. And it's a really amazing tool to help you identify what to do next in its simplest form. When you are scattered, when you're chaotic, when you're unfocused, when you're unclear, life's too much, and you're feeling buffeted around by the chaos inside yourself and outside of yourself, the me map is the best place to go. It is the thing that's going to show you which way to go next, which way to get out of that white noise that's going on in your head, to get out of the struggle, the efforting, the heaviness that you find yourself in. Or in the case of a gentleman that I'm working with now, we had a discovery call yesterday, and he was saying he couldn't quite put his finger on what the problem was, but he just felt wrong. He just felt off, right? So we do a me map and we find out, where is that coming from? Where does your soul want to point you now? And what is your egoic self thinking is the problem? And then we use the me map to work out, how are we going to move forward? And which petal needs our attention? Which petal are we going to start with in the me map? So it gives you direction, it gives you clarity, and it guides your next steps. No matter where you are in your discovery journey, your health and healing journey, the me map is the go-to. So the me map we can use in a creative way, in a workshop space where we use it as a vision board, in an artsy kind of creative spatial experience, or we can use it in a linear experience using a rating scale, which I'm not even going to go into right now. That is not what we're about here today. But I just wanted to show you what it is that I'm talking about when I reference the me map. You can go back to previous podcasts. We always start at 12 o'clock with the me map and we move around clockwise direction. So I've already done a podcast on energy and emotion, diving into this petal, what it means, what's the underpinning philosophy and concepts. So that's already been done. The body and environment is this one here. That has also been done already in one of my previous podcast episodes. So please go back and watch those. And this week or this month, we're doing the mind and manifestation. I know you can't see the words there. This one's slightly better, isn't it? That's better. So this month, we're doing mind and manifestation. Next month, we'll do connection, community, and so on, growth and skills, economy and security. Each one of these petals is highly nuanced. And one of my me map coaches said to me the other day, just on Wednesday, actually, we were doing a private session, and she said, I can't believe how much depth is in the me map. It just keeps unfolding and unfurling, and suddenly I feel like I've got it at a whole new level. So the map meets you where you're at. If you're new to self-discovery and spiritual development, it will meet you there. It will meet you where you're ready. And then as you progress, as you become more attuned to spirit, to your soul, to your intuition, and you get your body and environment aligned with your mind and manifestation, and your energy is running the right way, and your finances are under control, it deepens. I explained it to my kids like a game, like one of their computer games. You keep leveling up. And each time you level up, things become more complex, more challenging, but you have more skill. You have more capacity, you have more nuance, you have more intuition to guide you through the next level of mastery. So I talk a lot about the levels of mastery, or the 4 phases of healing that we go through in each one of these petals. Quick snapshot. In each one of the petals, we experience a shift from messy, when our life is chaotic and out of control; mindful, when we start to realize what it is that we need to shift in our reality, because the petals, we can see in the me map petals which one of those needs our attention. We become mindful of the changes that need to happen, and we use mindfulness to shift us toward the 0 point of the map itself. And then we get some momentum going. because those changes become consistent. We understand ourselves a lot better with a lot more depth and comprehension and compassion. So we start to get momentum in each of the me map petals. Changes become obvious in the reality outside of ourselves, and that leads to mastery, where everything's okay. It's funny though, because when you get to mastery in any one of the six petals of the me map, there's always a new messy, a new level, a new layer, a new game to play in a different petal of the me map. So it's this perpetual evolution. The me map follows us on our perpetual evolution as a soul, as a body, as a human and a spirit, right? So that's a super top level. And I know that that won't make sense to a lot of you, but follow along the podcast every month. Come and join me in the Heart Warriors, where we dive into all of the nuts and bolts of spiritual and self-development, or join me as a me map coach. And we follow all of this in there. Okay, so the me map, mind and manifestation petals. In the me map, the manifestation and mind, manifestation's actually the outer petal, which is a little bit misleading, but it's about the external reality that we find ourselves in. What we've manifested through our thinking processes, through how we're using our mind. So the mind is in the inner petal, because when we are able to become aware and conscious of what our mind is actually doing, we bring mind into conscious awareness, we can govern how we manifest in our outer reality. Now, not just the mind isn't the only thing that manifests our outer reality, but if you go back to body and environment and energy and emotion, that will add depth to what I'm saying. So watch that later. But the mind and our mind, if it's not focused, if we're running from a position of unconscious programming that we've inherited, bought, borrowed, stolen, adopted, absorbed, had forced upon us through our experiences in life, through the body and the environment experiences of life from a very early age, we can be running unconscious programs that are not even ours, and they will be reflected in the way that we think. And then the way that we think shapes the material reality that comes into being. Your thoughts are projecting your reality. They're creating the hologram that you see around you. Nothing's actually tangible. You know, manifestation's a weird term, and I'll go into it a little bit here, because what I've come to understand is that manifestation's a bit of a loaded word in the spiritual realms. There's a lot of dogma attached to it. It's new dogma over the last 100 years or so, where everybody's moved into this idea of creating your reality, manifesting things. What I want to say about manifestation is it's not so much an egoic action. It must come from your inner reality and radiate out from you. If you do it the other way around, you end up in a forcing, effortful, egoic, striving state of being that is mentally forced, that is mentally uncomfortable, that is mentally effortful. I think I said that twice. Effortful thinking. We start to get into this over effort, this over masculinated linear way of going after something that we want. And it's usually things. It's usually the next, car, the next house, the next object, the next PS5, I don't know, whatever it is that you're wanting to manifest. There is nothing wrong with that. Okay, there's nothing wrong with wanting more. There's nothing wrong with going after things that you love, that you think would enhance your reality. But if you're doing it from a position of the outer edge of the me map, the externalized projection, rather than the internalized expression, you are going to find your manifestation is severely limited. It's limited to only what your mind thinks is possible. Only what your mind thinks is possible. And if your mind has been programmed with a whole stack of crap that wasn't yours in the first place, indoctrinations through societal imprints or family imprints, you are only going to be able to manifest to the level that you believe it's possible. I'll say that again. You're only going to be able to manifest to the level that you believe mentally is possible. Think about that for a second. All these things that you want, the car, the house, the riches, the health, whatever it is, all valid, all reasonable, all within the realms of possible. But if you don't actually have thoughts that are reflections of your belief that it's possible, you will be pushing shit uphill your whole life. And trust me, I've done my fair share. And every now and then I still get sucked back into that egoic, fear-based manifesting method. It's really not a fun way to try to get things to happen. It requires a ton of our life force energy to manifest from an external perspective, from an egoic, mental perspective. So even though mind creates, right, we want to make sure that what's going on in our mind is actually in alignment with universal truth. And universal truth is you can create, you can materialize, which I feel is a better word, you can materialize your heart's content. But only if you've created a mental belief system, a reflection of belief that is true. So one of the things that each of the petals has is an affirmation. And you can consider this if you're more of a mental linear kind of person, sorry, a masculine linear kind of person in your thinking, you might like to see this as a goal. The goal is to move from a state of egoic manifestation in the outer edge of the map through and down and in to the center of the map where the mind is clear and calm. At the center of the map, that's where we're aiming to get to. We're moving from an external locus of control to an internal locus of control. An external effort for manifesting, striving, grasping, desperation mentally to have things, to an internal knowing, a clear and positive understanding that everything is available to you at all times. So the central goal or the affirmation for the mind and manifestation petal of the me map is I am clear and positive. You might want to write that down. I am clear and positive. And I want you to just think about that for a minute. How well do you believe that right here, right now? And for those of you that are in the Zoom room with me, you might like to pop that in the chat, your answer into the chat. How well are you feeling clear and positive in your mind and manifestation petal? Do you feel that you are efforting negative, predominantly 10 out of 10 at the edge of the manifestation petal? And for those of you who don't understand what I mean, go back to the introduction. The edge, the manifesting edge, the 10 out of 10 in the mind and manifestation petal is somebody who is chaotic in their thinking, who is feeling cluttered and chaotic in their thoughts, who perhaps is stuck in loops of overthinking, overanalysis, analysis paralysis, doubts, fear, or negativity. So you're trying to manifest all these things. Maybe you need a new house, maybe you need a better job. And you're thinking, what can I do? How can I do it? And all the ideas are bouncing off your brain like a ping pong ball. And it's just chaos in there. It's white noise. And you're looping and you're ruminating and you've got all these intrusive thoughts going on. A hiss, a mental hiss that's always there and there's no clarity. It's scattered. There might be brain fog. You might be fragmented, unfocused thoughts. And your thoughts are predominantly of the past. So you might be thinking about all the times you couldn't manifest, you didn't manifest, the job that you lost, the thing that didn't work, the money you didn't have, You might be stuck there in the past mentally. Or a 10 out of 10, you might be stuck in the future. You might be hyper mentally anxious, pacing, mentally scripting, mentally rehearsing to the point of exhaustion, mental exhaustion, indecision, because you don't know what to do to get you to the future that you want. And so your mind is just throwing up all these possibilities, all these pathways that you could go in, and you can't decide, which puts you in a state of freeze. That's 10 out of 10, right? So let me know if you're watching on YouTube, let me know in the comments below, where do you feel you are on this sliding scale, from 0 being I am calm, clear, I added a word. I'm clear and positive in my mind and manifesting, or I'm 10 out of 10, cluttered and chaotic. Let me describe 0 for you. So at 0, I am clear, I'm mentally clear and predominantly positive. That doesn't mean you don't have negative thoughts. We're human, right? And we're all connected to each other. So even if you in your life and your mindset are predominantly positive, sometimes as energetic, empathic beings, we can accidentally tune into the collective mindset and have those thoughts come in and we go, wow, check that out. That's a negative thought. But at 0, we just go, wow, curious. Wonder whose that is. I wonder where that came from. Interesting. And we just use our tools to flick it, switch it, shift it, move it out of our system and away again. So at 0, your thoughts are spacious. They're kind to you and others, and they're guided by purpose. You are focused. You are clear. You can direct your attention with awareness and shift out of unhelpful thinking very easily. You notice it, your awareness is sharp, you're observing. You're in a state of mental observation. You are not buying into the thoughts, you are noticing them and being compassionate towards what you're thinking. I often have thoughts that come in and they might not be very friendly thoughts, and I notice them and I say to those thoughts, thank you. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. But right now, I'm centered, I'm calm, I'm breathing, I'm okay, I'm in alignment, and I repeat the I am statements from the entire map over and over and over. And I use other tools and techniques that I can teach you. But I use other things like emotional freedom technique, therapeutic applied percussion. I use meditation. I use divine invocations to shift me, because the awareness is everything. Mentally observing. Our awareness is consciousness. It's separate to our mind. It's separate to the things that we think. Consciousness is all pervasive. So our mind can become consciousness. We can exude consciousness at 0 out of 10 and observe the thoughts that we have floating in and out of our awareness without latching onto them. What we can also do at 0 out of 10, which I love, is pick and choose which thoughts you're going to magnify and amplify. So if you have an inspired thought, it's coming from something that's already in your energetic field, and your mind has perceived that thread of energetics. It's looked at it and gone, wow, there's a thought train. I love that thought train. There's a sequence of words that hold energy, that are reflecting a positive belief that I have about myself, or a recognition of something that I would choose actively to focus on and materialize in my immediate reality. I'm going to take that thought and I'm going to repeat it. I'm going to amplify it. I'm going to feel the feeling of what that thread of words actually feels like. And if it's happy, if it's positive, if it's exciting, if it's uplifting, I'm going to harness my focus, my mental focus, and I'm going to enhance it. I'm going to lock in and tune my mental dial on purpose with consciousness to that thread of information that is coming from the field that has arisen within my consciousness, my thinking, and I'm going to narrow in, tune to it, and hold the tuning on that. So for me, I'm mentally clear and predominantly positive. I'm mentally clear and predominantly positive. This is my natural state of being. Life is good for me. I have abundance all around me. So rather than um, efforting, you want to get into the 0 point. You want to get to the state of zero first by tuning your awareness to the belief systems that are reflected in the thoughts and the sentences that are playing over in your head. Tune to the ones that feel happy, that feel good, that feel positive, that feel expansive. So the mind and manifestation petal is about tuning to the goodness, tuning to the benefits, tuning to the abundance and the prosperity and the inherent healing that is already possible, that it's already there in your energetic field. This is why I prefer the word materialization rather than manifestation. Manifestation, as I said, lots of spiritual dogma, go after something, right? That's a very limited perspective of manifestation. We don't have to go after what we want. We don't have to put that much effort in. We can give effort to noticing the thoughts and whether they're coming from an unconscious pattern that we've inherited or absorbed from this space around us or from our programs through childhood and traumas and life events. Or we can choose to tune our mind to the abundance that is everywhere, that is all around us. You may have heard me talk about my pumpkin patch. I'll come back to the chat in a minute. The pumpkin patch in my backyard, we're in a townhouse at the moment, and it's been serving us so well. We needed a smaller protective space. We needed a quiet neighborhood. We needed to be in town. We needed a certain level of funding, right, for this particular townhouse. I wanted to save more money, so I chose a townhouse that didn't cost as much money. Mentally decided that that was going to feel appropriate and good for my phase of the MIMAP. And one of the things that isn't here in this place is a lot of space. So I like to be around nature. I feel good around nature. I need nature. I need vistas. I need views of greenery or ocean. We have a very narrow but clear vista of trees and birds and my pumpkin patch. And over the last 6 months, I've been tuning into my pumpkin patch and appreciating mentally the extreme abundance on this pumpkin. It is crazy. It has been going nuts for 6 months. It's been producing the biggest pumpkins I've ever seen in my life. They are mega pumpkins, and there are so many. There are so many pumpkins that I just can't even, there's no way in a year or two that I'd be able to eat them all. So I'm giving them away. The point is, I didn't need to force the pumpkins to produce. All I did was tune to the naturally occurring abundance of the pumpkin plant. I observed its luscious leaves. I observed with love and generosity how well it was thriving in this narrow corridor of garden. I observed with love and thanks and gratitude that every flower was a possible fruit, that every pumpkin would feed a whole family. So we choose the thought that we want to focus on, and then we feel the feeling of it in our system. That brings us into conscious mind rather than egoic mind. So on the map, the sliding scale, 0, I'm mentally clear, predominantly positive. I know what to do with my thoughts. I tune very consciously my thoughts to something that feels uplifting, innately positive, innately abundant, innately amazing, that exudes God force energy or the universal energies, that is proliferating goodness. I find that with my mind. And you can do this no matter how terrible your state is at the moment. simple little mindfulness exercise will get you moving towards 0 out of 10 in your me map. At 10 out of 10, you're feeling cluttered, mentally chaotic. Yeah. At 5, which is the tipping point, halfway, where you move from external locus of control, externalized, extrinsic behaviors to intrinsic, being guided from your internal consciousness, your energy, your intuition, your soul self. 5 out of 10, I can notice unhelpful thoughts and beliefs. I can see them, but I don't always catch them in time. Sometimes I entertain them for way longer than is serving me. Sometimes I experience bright periods of clarity, but I also sometimes get caught in mental loops or stories of the past. So you're on that border. That borderline is a really awkward place to be because you can choose then to be either tipping into 0, moving towards 0, and you might need to take some conscious action at that point to help your mindset, whether that be getting mentoring, using, as I said, some tools to shift your mind. You need to do something at 5 out of 10. You're not practiced enough in your consciousness to be able to hold your energetics, to be able to hold your mindset in a state of positivity. You're not practiced yet. So you're going to have to impose some conscious will to push you towards 0. And that's where mindfulness exercises come in. So a really cool mindfulness exercise is to take an object. As a human, I like to use my senses to mindfully ground in and bring focused laser consciousness to this now moment. Because as we've talked about in previous podcasts, the now moment is where your power is. That's where your power lives. It doesn't live in the past. It doesn't live in the future. If you're spending all your mental energy in the past or the future, you are ineffectual. You are not moving toward your best life. You are stuck in a state of limbo, not living to the fullest potential that you were born with. It's not even something you have to try to get, right? Your full potential exists already in this now moment. So, mindfulness practice. Take a breath. Take an object. So if you're watching now, pick up an object. What's the closest thing to you? Maybe it's a lip gloss, maybe it's a pencil, maybe it's a glass of water. And I want you to hold that object in your hands. And I want you to focus your mind into the object. Put all of your focus in there. Temporarily, you'll have split focus because you're listening to me. But once I've given you the instructions, then I want you to focus alone for a second. So this doesn't have to be laborious. Put all of your attention into the object. Feel, firstly, the pressure. Feel the pressure in your fingertips as it touches the object. Notice. Just notice the pressure in your fingertips, all of your attention in your fingertips, all of your focus, your mental thoughts funneled, laser focused on pressure. Good. Now shift your attention, mentally tune to the sensation of temperature. What does the temperature feel like? Notice, label it if you must, mentally label. For me, fresh, cold. Now I want you to feel the sensation. Is it tingly? Is it smooth? Is it rough? What is the texture or the sensation in your hands as you touch this object? You can move it around, I can move it around and feel the glass is smooth. It's a little bit sticky. My sticky hands. It's sticky. The texture, though, is smooth. When I hold the water and I feel it, it's cold and I can feel the cold of the water through the glass. And it's soothing to my hands. So just notice All of your focus. And if your thoughts start to run away with you because you're predominantly, in a chaotic state a lot of the time at the moment, that's okay. Don't fight. Don't force. Don't berate yourself. Don't punish yourself. You are just adding to the mental noise, the unconscious, subconscious programming that's keeping you stuck and small and not manifesting or not materializing things of joy. You might instead be manifesting really terrible experiences, difficulties. So don't berate yourself. Simply notice, ah, my thought went off on a thought train, a memory. Maybe the sensation triggered a memory of some other time in your past. Just notice that that's happened and then ask your mind to refocus and bring all your attention back into the object. You're going to have some water. And as I drink, I notice the sensation, the coldness as it touches the skin, the saliva that kicks in, the feeling of fluidity as it rolls down my throat and into my stomach. Feel. The fastest way to focus your mind is actually to feel. Bring all your attention into this now moment. Embody yourself. Focus your mind on where you are right now. Okay. So, rating 0 to 10, where are you on the scale? 0 is I am clear. I am predominantly positive. 10, I am not. I'm chaotic. I'm unclear. I'm scattered, messy. Anywhere on that sliding scale. This tells you where to go next in the mind and manifestation. And then you can use your tools. If you don't have tools, join Heart Warriors. Okay, so in the chat, 4, a daily practice for improvement. Right, that's good. So that's interesting. So identifying yourself as a 4 out of 10, you can see that you're in what we call a momentum phase of healing. You've moved out of messy, which is 8 to 10 out of 10. You've moved into mindfulness, where you've recognized there's a problem, at about 6 or 7. You've shifted beyond that now. You've started to become mindful of observing and making some changes to your mindset, and you've moved into momentum, which is about 3 to 5 out of 10, or 4 or 5 out of 10. And now what you need is consistency. Now what you need is discipline. Daily practices scattered throughout your entire day. So one of the things I would suggest is make sure that those mindfulness practices are even scheduled, because until they become automatic, you're subject to moving back into an external, moving back toward chaos, right? Until your daily practice has become a way of life. You want to schedule mindfulness, schedule conscious mental focus into your daily reality. So maybe you take a 30-second mindful break between tasks before you start flipping from one task to the next, which, if you're anything like me and your ADHD brain's off the charts, you might well go, oh, check that out. My brain is bouncing all over the place. What do I need to do? Oh, that's right. I need to focus my mind. What tools and techniques do I have at my disposal right now before I bounce to the next task? How can I ground and focus before I leap into the next thing? I'm mentally scattered. How can I harness my mindset? So I hope this is sitting well with everybody. There's so much in this. I could talk for hours and hours and hours. I haven't even touched on the, the way that we accumulate negative patterns of thinking. But let's look at that. So there's 4 ways, and I use the term to remember what they are. I have to write it down because otherwise I forget. 4 ways. So the acronym is HELP. There are 4 ways that we become conditioned to think in a way that doesn't serve us. conditioned to think in a way that keeps us small, that keeps us from materializing the innate goodness, healing, abundance, compassion, knowledge, wisdom, prosperity that is innately ours, that we have access to as divine beings of light and frequency, of sound. Everything. We're connected to everything. Everything that we desire already exists. We just have to tune our mind to be able to comprehend it. And then we have to make sure there are no oppositions in place. So the oppositions come from our mental programming. Mental programming. Help. First one, H stands for heredity. What have we inherited that is predominantly negative in a thinking process that actually we didn't put there? This is ancestral lineage. And it's the things that you heard as a kid. You know, maybe your parents went through a financial trauma when you were young in your formative years, and all you heard around the house for 6 months straight was money doesn't grow on trees, or we can't afford that, or turn out the lights, that's costing me money. I feel sad for my parents because it's not their fault, right? It's not our parents' fault. It's not their parents' fault. They were just at a lower consciousness about these sorts of things than we were. The consciousness on the planet is vastly elevated, much more so than it ever has been in all of history that we know of, right? Maybe the times of Atlanta or Lemuria, they knew more about it and then they destroyed themselves. But in our current example, you know, it's not our parents' fault that they were that way. But even though it wasn't their fault, even though it's not our fault that we collected this inherited way of thinking, we have the power to change it by taking responsibility for our own mindset. It's a Spider-Man quote, isn't it? The Avengers, Spider-Man, something. With great power comes great responsibility. If you want the power that your mind has to offer, you're going to have to take responsibility for what's going on up here, right? Regardless of who put it there or how it got there or what crap you experienced that, you know, is on repeat. Trust me, I've had trauma. I'm not immune to trauma. I sit here all smiley and shiny teaching, but I am no stranger to trauma. I have used these techniques myself to materialize, not manifest in that egoic way, but to materialize things of worth, things of value to me. And things of value is not always money or resources. Things of value might be a harmonious family. I've worked so hard to create harmonious relationships in my life. From, you know, starting out with serious trauma as an 18-year-old with sexual assault. So, you know, we're all human. We've all got our stuff. But it's up to us to take responsibility for that stuff and to move it towards zero. So, H, heredity. What have you inherited from your ancestors, from your parents, from your education system, from your societal system, your community? The next one is environment, which leads me to community, right? Environment. Where are you hanging out predominantly? And for most of us, that's work. That's the shops, our community groups. Maybe it's scouting. Maybe it's a dance group. Maybe it's a choir like me. Where are you hanging out? Because the mindset, the collective mindset of the places that you hang out in influence your thinking. Let that sink in. Where are you? So the first one, heredity, where have you come from? The second one, environment, where are you? Locationally speaking. Is the vibe at work really mentally toxic? Are people saying really terrible things all the time? Do they have on repeat, we have to work our asses off to make a buck? If that's the environment that you are predominantly swimming in, you are going to adopt absorb, inherit, reflect the general mindset of that environment. Not fun. It might be you've invited somebody into your environment who is like that. And there's a dynamic, and in the me map we talk about this as the tertiary. We've got a primary, a secondary, and a tertiary dynamic. The tertiary dynamic is usually what your environment is giving you, and sometimes that environment needs to change in order for the other petals of the me map to be able to sustainably be where you want them to be. So L stands for lifestyle. Where have you come from? Where are you now? What are you doing? What are you doing? Who are you hanging out? What are you doing? What's your lifestyle? Are you doing things that light you up, that bring levity to your mind, that inspire creativity and curiosity? If you're not, it's going to be hard to think better. It's going to be hard to think positive if you're not living with inspiration. If the things that you do on a daily basis are not joyful, they don't ignite passion, they don't align with your value system, how are you going to feel good and function mentally and bring your mind to a state of order, from chaos to order, chaos at 10, order at 0? How are you going to do that if you are not actively engaging in things that spark your mind and your consciousness? I love crypto. I am obsessed with crypto and fiat currency trading. I love it. I have a little trading app on my phone, and it's interesting to me. I find it fascinating to watch the way the charts go up and down in response to the psychology of the globe, right? Trading is literally psychology of the globe. We can see reflected in trading the predominant mindset of most of the planet. That's crazy, right? It's fascinating to me. I find it interesting. I also love to paint because it sparks something in me. When I see the colors, I start thinking better. I order my thoughts by cleaning my kitchen. Saturday, I'm feeling a bit chaotic in my thoughts at the moment. I'll be real with you. I'm sitting at about a 5 out of 10 at the moment. I don't feel bad about that because I know when I'm in a more, a more, for me that's messy, but in a more state of dis-ease in my mental state, I know that there's a big shift coming. So I actually embrace that and go, okay, thank you, brain, for letting me know. Thank you, mind, for letting me know I'm having these negative thoughts that aren't really what I want to be thinking. So what are we going to do, Kristy? Well, we're going to organize our thoughts. How do we do that? Well, in my case, I clean, or I organize, or I clutter, declutter. The last P. P is for people. Heredity, environment, lifestyle, people. Who are you hanging out with? Sometimes we can't choose, particularly if your environment, your work environments, you have to have a job to pay the bills. Fair enough. But does it have to be that job? If the people are really negative, if the people are continually dragging you under, sucking the life force out of you, and you go home and you're mentally fragmented and negative and scattered and exhausted, and you can't make a decision to save yourself because you've been drained by the people, does it have to be that job? And if you're still in that job and that's happening, what are you afraid of? What is the mental loop, the mental construct that you are buying into, that you are repeating habitually in your own mind? Because that's where the problem is, not that person outside of you. The problem is that you have decided to adopt the thinking of the people that you're surrounding yourself with, rather than being conscious and critical in your thinking and going, that thinking process leads to energetic destruction. That thinking process does not manifest things of my dreams. That thinking process is keeping my bank account empty. That thinking is making my bones hurt. So, with great power comes great responsibility. What are you going to do about it? How can you tweak your mindset to a higher vibrational thought? How can you tweak your mindset? Mindfulness. Very quick, fastest, easiest way, costs nothing to tune yourself to a thought that feels better, to a thought that's not somebody else's. Ask yourself the question, what do I think? What do I think? And if what I'm thinking is bought, borrowed, stolen, adopted, inherited through the help, right? What can I do to change it? All right, so we're coming up on an hour already. Oh my God, I'm haven't even touched the surface of this iceberg. All right, so I'm going to leave you with some self-reflection questions. Heart warriors, stick around. After the session, the podcast is finished, please stick around in the chat. I can answer your questions. We can do a little bit of coaching. If you have anything that has arisen for you as a result of this podcast, by all means, join Heart Warriors. It's only $49 and it's a group coaching program, okay? Self-discovery, spiritual development program where we tease apart, undo and redo, reshape your reality in the image that you would rather it be. Rather than being chaos, we bring it to order. So if that's interesting to you, links in the comments below. But my Heart Warriors, stick around in the Zoom room and I can do some coaching with you after this, or answer your questions about the me map, whatever it is. So I'm going to leave you with a couple of journal prompts, all right? Write these down. What kind of thoughts are most dominant in my mind lately? What kind of thoughts are most dominant in my mind lately? When I notice negative or limiting thoughts, how do I respond? When I notice negative or limiting thoughts, how do I respond? What's happening in my body-mind field, energy field, my body-mind field? What's happening? Notice. And number 3, what stories am I telling myself in my head that might be shaping my reality? Meaning, what stories am I telling myself and what are they manifesting? And you can tell what they're manifesting because it's reflected in everything around you. It's reflected in the family discussions. It's reflected in the job that you're doing. It's reflected in the amount of income in your bank. It's reflected in the lifestyle that you live. There is a direct correlation between what you see outside of yourself, materialized reality outside of yourself, and the way that you think. And the way that you think is the sentences, the actual tangible words, the dialogue, is a direct reflection of the belief systems that you are holding on to. And if we take it one step further, connect it back to energy and emotion, the belief systems appear as distortions, energetic distortions, balls and clouds of density in your energy field, in your energetic body. Some people call it an aura. So we like to come at shifting the mind and manifestation from whichever aspect of the me map is requiring it, but you can attack it head on, okay? By literally identifying those thoughts and noticing, where do those thought threads go? Where is the origin of those thoughts? Is it heredity? Is it environment? Is it lifestyle? Is it people? Or is it all of it? And if it's all of it, come and have some mentoring or reach out and I'll connect you with a me map coach in your area, or online, and help to get some help for yourself to start to shift your mindset into a state that is harmonious. Because until you do that, you're not going to be able to manifest or materialize what's already yours, what already exists and is already available for you if you choose to tune your thoughts to the dimensional reality where the goodness exists already. Okay, I believe that is all I have to say. Like, comment, subscribe down below. I'm going to stick around in the Zoom room, so stay where you are, Heart Warriors. And for those of you watching on YouTube, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm so grateful that you're here. I am new to the YouTube platform, even though I have been mentoring and coaching people in spiritual development and self-discovery for almost 35 years. I started at 18 years of age guiding a meditation class when I became a spontaneous channel for universal wisdom. So it's been a long time. YouTube is a new fun thing because it lights me up, because my mindset feels enlivened and excited at the idea of connecting with people all over the world in this new format for me. So please share it around. If you found something valuable in this session, by all means, comment below and go back and watch some of the other episodes or listen to the other podcast episodes. And I look forward to seeing you next month for Connection and Community Petal of the Me Map. That's all about relationships, your relationship to self, soul, and others. Okay. Happy Friday. See you soon.